Greetings, Indie Warriors, and welcome to I Dream of Indie. I'm Old Gamer Joe, and today we're doing something a little different as we take a look at some DLC add-on content for one of my favorite brawlers from last year. This is the Mr. X Nightmare DLC for Streets of Rage 4, and it's available on all platforms. Now, if you're a fan of brawlers and haven't played Streets of Rage 4 yet, well, what are you waiting for? It's friggin' awesome. So I guess it goes without saying you'll need the base game in order to run this DLC. And what it does is, well, makes an already great game even better. The main attraction in the Mr. X Nightmare DLC is going to be the 3, or perhaps more, new characters that you can play as and the survival mode. This new mode takes place after the events of the main game, where Dr. Zan has used the remnants of Mr. X's brain in order to build an AI system that can simulate all of the dangerous scenarios our heroes have found themselves in. Your goal is to survive either solo or with a partner if you so wish, as many waves of enemies throughout this simulation as possible. If you don't have anyone to play with locally, you are able to summon an online player, which I had no issue finding. The one little issue I did have is my controller bugged out a few times. It started vibrating uncontrollably. I turned my keyboard off at one point to see if I could stop the glitch or just get the game going again. A few controller issues. Once I did disconnect my keyboard, I no longer experienced those, however. Just a note though. At any rate, as you may have guessed, each wave will take you through various set pieces within the Streets of Rage universe, and will get progressively harder as you advance. Some areas will supply you with a decent amount of restorative items and weapons, and upon clearing a room of enemies, you'll be able to choose between 2 different perks that will help you as you advance forward through each wave. These perks range from electrical charged attacks to dealing out more damage, and in some cases a perk can be a trade-off of sorts where you may gain in one area and lose in another. So you might get stronger but take a defensive hit, so you'll get more damage dealt out to you by enemies. I did think this mode was very simplistic, but it's a whole lot of fun. Super simple, super addicting, made even more fun by the fact that characters will learn new skills the further you make it on a run. These skills will then carry over into other modes of the game, making the overall Streets of Rage 4 experience, in my humble opinion, a whole lot better. It's awesome to have new moves. You could argue it makes the game maybe a little bit easier, but I don't care. It makes it a lot more fun too. So in survival mode, you can choose between random sim, where things will always be random, of course, or you can choose the weekly sim, which is only available for a limited amount of time. So there's tons of skills to unlock for every single character, including the throwback ones. You can expect to sink quite a few hours into this mode, especially if you want to unlock every single skill for every character. Speaking of those new characters, that's where the other fun part of this DLC comes into play. You have 3 new playable ones here, all of which are a real joy to use. Estelle, a badass cop you might remember from the base game. She has a really good balance of speed and strength. Max Thunder, who is more of a brute wrestler, of course, classic character. And then my personal favorite of the bunch was Shiva, who has a really awesome blend of martial arts moves. If being able to use these new characters weren't enough, you'll also have access to some new weapons. There's some awesome new musical compositions. They fit right in well with the rest of the soundtrack. I thought they were excellent, so that's been added as well. And then there's a patch for the game, which you can download without even needing this DLC that's been released. That makes some nice balancing adjustments. So at $7.99, this DLC is kinda a no-brainer in my opinion if you loved Streets of Rage 4, as if you needed a good reason to jump back in, you've now got a great one. Thank you so much for watching the latest video from I Dream of Indie and helping us bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. We want to take a moment to shout out our great indie warriors who support us through channel memberships. Mitchell Hall, Kevalo, Bunny, Bill Tikaz, Christian Cruz, Strick9, Rosie Syntax, Chris Jackson, Nathan Moore, Peach, Adriana Amato, CJR, Falco Lombardi, C. Coyle, Skeptism, Jen Rose, Jesse, and Julian Colbus. Thank you so much for everything you do for independent developers, publishers, and for I Dream of Indie. Everybody else, please head down to the description box below. Let's defeat the echo chamber and bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming.